Coffee with Keto Simple. My name is Dustin. I'm so glad you're here. This stream will be starting soon, so grab your coffee, get comfortable, and settle in. We're building a strong and supportive community, so say hello in the chat, ask questions, and feel free to use super chats if there's anything that you want to see highlighted. Thank you for being here and being a part of this journey. Let's keep it positive and respectful as we connect and grow together. I can't wait to get started. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Sunday. And welcome to Sunday Morning Coffee. And if you're new here, my name is Dustin. Most of you know that. And this space has always been about showing or slowing things down, right? Having honest conversations, food, health, and life. Reminding people that you don't have to have everything figured out to get started. And this morning, I want to try something a little different. I want the stream to be and to feel especially welcoming to people who are brand new, people who are curious, people who have tried and stopped, or people who are just tired of being confused. So if you're new here, please say hi in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from and what brought you here today. Because today we're going to be talking about starting keto, carnivore, anything on that PhD, proper human diet spectrum. And I want to be very clear right up front. These are not competing ideologies. They're not opposing teams. Again, they are just different spots or positions on what I like to call, or what is being called by Dr. Berry and Nisha, proper human diet spectrum. Keto, carnivore share far more similarities than differences. Excuse me. And for a lot of people, one naturally leads into the other over time and back again. I think they really should be fluid. I don't think that you really should be stuck in one or the other. Because a lot of people get stuck because they think they have to choose perfectly on day one. Keto or carnivore, strict or not strict, fasting or not fasting, counting everything or counting nothing. Because in that mindset alone is enough to stop people before they even begin. So today is about removing pressures, removing fear, and replacing it with understanding. So let's go ahead and jump into the chat, say hello, and then we'll get back into some of this information here because I want to make sure that anybody coming into the chat that's new or watching this in the future gets as much information as they can. Evelyn is here this morning. Good morning, Evelyn. Hello, Evelyn. Evelyn with her coffee. We love to see it, Evelyn. We love to see you in here. And they have snow. I think we have snow too. We not as much snow as I think that everybody was expecting us to have. Brian's in the house. Good morning, Dustin, and everyone for the northern U.S. winter wonderland. We've got probably a couple inches of snow. Nothing huge, nothing drastic. It's currently 8 degrees here. We're going to have a low today of -3, high of 15. Tomorrow, low of -2, high of 9. Tuesday, we're going to have a heat wave of 21 degrees. Let's go. 23 degrees, high of 15. Wednesday, 21 degrees, high of 9. Tuesday, we're going to have a heat wave of 21 degrees, high of 15. Tomorrow, low of -2, high of 9. Tuesday, we're going to have a heat wave of 21 degrees. Let's go. Sherry is here. She says, good morning. I have about -4 in Finleyville. I'm cleaned my deck off twice in the last hour just to keep snow away from the cat house. Not going to attempt to go to work today. Well, that's good. Stay home, rest, relax, recuperate, stay warm. And Jerry's in the house, just saying hello to everyone. We are at -22 on Salisbury Lake. Not fit for man nor beast. Hello to you too, Dustin. Well, I'm glad that you acknowledge me, Jerry. Welcome. I'm so glad to see you. And Mr. Doyle's in the house. Good morning, Brian. Good morning, gang. It's a great day to be alive. Indeed. Indeed. -22 sounds hideous. Oh, my goodness. Aaron, Miss Booby Goats is in the house. Good morning, Miss Booby Goats. Hello. Granny Boo is in the house. Good morning from snowy Oklahoma. It's snowy Indiana here for us. Sandy is saying good morning from North Florida. Mr. Bradley's in the house. Good morning, all. Welcome, Sean. I'm glad to see you, my friend. It is some kind of record that I'm within 5 minutes of being updated with a chat with only 6 or 7 minutes into the chat today, into this live. But again, we've got a lot of information to cover today, so I want to make sure that I get caught up here with the chat as quickly as possible. Brenda's here. Good morning, Brenda. Glad to see you. Jeff is in the house. Good morning, Mr. Foltz. I hope you're doing wonderful. Oh, my goodness. And Brian says, PSA, check your humidity levels in your house. Too high, not good. Too low will make it feel colder in the house, and you can cause nasal congestion and lower sleep quality, sleep score. We've got some dehumidifiers and some humidifiers. And yeah, we've got it going on here. And Sandy is telling everybody to hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up, please. I would greatly appreciate that. I love it when you guys hit the thumbs up, when you like and share, and make sure you're all subscribed. I'm pretty sure you all know the drill by now. But if you are new here, please say hello. Let us know what's going on. Oh, let's see. Jeff says it's 57 degrees in Keystone Heights, headed to 82. Keep it to yourself. You know how we do this here. Carl is in the house. Good morning, Carl. Glad to see you. Keeping warm with the pups this AM. How did I get here? Join my wonderful wife on a health journey of discovery and healing. Well, I'm glad to see you. I'm glad you're here. And I'm glad to know you, my friend. I feel like it's been 100 years since we've seen each other. All of you. Haven't seen any of you in so long, and it really, really makes me sad. But Andy's here. That makes me happy. Good morning, Andy. Glad to see you, my dear. Good morning, Susan. Even if you're not quite awake yet or still snoozing. Just trying to get through here a little bit. Steadfast is here. Good morning. Good morning, fine folks. Got a little electrolytes here in a McDonald's cup. Don't judge me. Oh, there we go. Andy says, hi, everyone. Had to catch up. We've got 9 inches of snow so far and still snowing. Oh, my goodness. And Maniacs Gaming is saying, the hit your omega-3 fats for cold resistance, said Nick Norwitz. Indeed. Nick Norwitz has a lot of very wonderful information if you want to take a deep, deep, deep dive into everything you didn't even know you needed or wanted to know. He goes deep. Andy says current temps are 10, feels like 3. Ugh. Gross, 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 gross. And Jerry says, nothing like waking up to the smells of bacon in the house. that has been dehydrated all night long. Oh boy, I love it. Brian says, heading out to clean the snow. We'll be back and try to listen while I'm doing it. Be careful. Be careful. There we go. Susan is sawing logs right next to me right now. Well, she's sleeping well, knowing she's loved. Indeed. Jenny is in the house. Good morning, Jenny. Glad to see you, dear. That's right. Snoozing Susan. I love it. Stacy is in the house. Good morning, Stacy, my love. I hope you are doing wonderful. How is Ken? How is he doing? Glad to see you. Good to see you this morning. Oh. So let's go ahead and jump back in. I've got some coffee here. What about you? But I've got this coffee right here. And for those of you who don't know how I drink my coffee on a normal basis, my coffee is Nescafe Instant Espresso. I have a tea kettle that I warm or boil water on the stove, and then I put butter and heavy cream in here, the coffee powder. This is 30 ounces, 32 ounces. So there is 6 or 7 teaspoons of coffee powder in here, about half a stick of butter, and some heavy cream to smooth it all over. Blended it all together, and it's delicious. I hope you've got your coffee today, boys and girls. As always, yes, Jenny, we have the Cool Bucky's cup. That is kind of a staple around here. And we will be having Bucky's. I think there's one opening in April within 2 hours of me. And then sometime in the next couple of years, I'll have 2 within 20 to 30 minutes of me. I'm excited. But again, it probably still won't be something we visit too often because, I mean, it'll be a good way to start a road trip, whether you're going north or you're going south. Good way to start a road trip because they're going to be putting a Bucky's north of Indy, somewhere around Lebanon off of 65 north, and then one south of Indy around Franklin, what'll be on 65 south as well. And I imagine eventually they'll probably put something on 70 on either side of us as well. So you've got 70 and 65 because we are the crossroads of America here in Indiana. We are the crossroads of America. We have 65, 69, 70 all going through in different angles through our fine city. But again, back on topic, we're going to talk about how I would start keto today if I were starting over. How that can gently move towards carnivore if your body responds well. Why electrolytes matter so much, especially early on. Why the scale is probably the least useful piece of data in the beginning and probably along the entire process, as the scale is just one piece of data and typically the one we harp on the most, and it has the least significance. And why community and real people going through the same thing might be the most important tool that you can have. You amazing people here with us every week is tremendously important to me. And just to make sure everyone understands, those of you who are not new to it, but true to it, will understand that this is not a do this or else conversation, because everything each one of us do is a little different. We have to tweak all of this stuff to fit who we are, whether it's, clean keto, dirty keto, super strict carnivore, lion diet, barely low carb, whatever, with just single ingredient whole food, whatever you need to get by. And I'm going to go ahead on a limb and say that there right now, currently, no one in the chat, unless I'm mistaken, who is new to keto and or carnivore or this conversation. So for most of you live, this is going to be old news. But hopefully we get some people who come in and watch the replay that truly need to hear all this information. And I think a lot of us probably have tried before, have tried multiple times, and have struggled. I struggle on a weekly basis, and that's okay. I mean, would it be easier if it all just fell into place and we all lived happily ever after? Yes, but then we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't need this community. We wouldn't need all of you wonderful people to lean on, right? And who's been doing this a while and wishes they knew this stuff from the start? There's a lot of things that I didn't know when we started it, because we started in 2016. Just a quick high level look at what, where we came from, myself and my wife. Again, Chandra and I started when we in 2016, late 2016. So we are in our 10th year of doing this. Can you believe it? So in 2016, we started low carb. We had to really learn what low carb was, because the truth of the matter is we had no idea how entrenched carbohydrates were in our everyday diet. We were probably eating upwards of maybe 1,000 carbs a day. We didn't have any idea. So when we lowered it down, we lowered it to about 150. And that was probably 150 net, because net carbs was the thing. But again, even in the early stages, we had no idea. We had no idea that carbs needed to be that low. We just didn't know. It was very early on, and I think a lot of you may not even have started at that point. So, we were doing low carb, and I was searching for recipes, low carb recipes, soups and food. What can I make for meals? How can I make this work for us? Because again, I was over 420 pounds. This was, in my mind, a last ditch effort. I didn't want to have surgery. I didn't want to go in and have gastric bypass or a sleeve or any of that stuff done. GLP-1s were not in the realm of anything yet. They weren't to come to market for 8 years, not 7 years, something like that. They're relatively new on the market, at least the way that they're being utilized now. And coming to the realization that I was over 400 pounds, wearing 5X t-shirts, ridiculously sized pants. I was wearing a 50-inch pant underneath the gut. If I would have pulled it over my gut was big enough that I was probably wearing 65-inch pants. So this was an all or nothing. This was an all-in moment for us. This was putting all the eggs in one basket moment for us. And as I started to search and look into things, I started seeing keto and ketogenic, these terms thrown around, but I didn't really know what they meant. Even going in to see my general practitioner, we were talking as we were getting prepped. I was going to have some surgery to have a hernia repaired. And I was working on getting, things back in order. I was getting some skin tags removed. I was working to get my CPAP machine. And he had mentioned in passing, if you really want to lose weight, you need to be in ketosis. He was an older gentleman. I'm sure he's long retired now. He was an old cat then. But he happened to mention that to me in passing. So I kind of tucked that away, but he didn't elaborate. You don't get that much time in a room with a doctor. So he mentioned it. So I went on and I'm like, ketosis, keto, what is all this? And I started looking into it, and I was really, really huge into podcasting. To me, podcasting was new. I had, an hour plus drive to and from work each day combined, 30 to 45 minutes each way, depending on traffic and conditions and all that fun stuff. So I was listening to a lot of podcasts. I still do when I'm in the car. but I started listening to the two keto dudes, and I just played them. I went through their stuff. They had probably almost a year worth of podcasts up at that point, maybe 6 months worth of podcasts every week. So I was binging trying to get through them, and decided I looked at, after I did my surgery, Shandor and I decided to go ahead and start keto. And I remember the first thing that we did, she would never in a million years. We were at McDonald's getting the kids some food on our way to the apple orchard, kind of on the time that we were starting this. And I got bunless burgers, but they had ketchup on them. And I was like, oh, well, I get, it was, trial and error. And I thought it was so weird. You sit there and eat the McDoubles with no bun, with a spoon, with a fork. But I did it. And, and so for those of you who are new to keto, carnivore, what are they? What does it even mean? So keto and carnivore, same foundation, different focus. Both remove ultra-processed foods. So you're going to remove grains, you're going to remove pastas, and, no mac and cheese, no pastas, no breads, nothing that comes really in a box. Typically anything from the middle center of the grocery store. Now, there's obviously things in the center of the grocery store you're going to still utilize from time to time, depending on how strict you are. Pickles, condiments, mustard, mayonnaise. There's things that you can utilize if you are going to be loosey-goosey keto. There's the low-carb wraps, there's low-carb breads. But again, those are high ultra-processed foods too. But you have to decide how this is going to work for you. But involved in that is not just the decision of the foods, but an honesty, a deep dive look into yourself to understand what is actually going to be best for you. And if you are eating the keto breads and the keto this and the keto treats and that, and it's not working for you, then you have to be real. Like, you have to come to the realization that it's not keto that's failing you currently. It's the ultra processed keto treats and all those things, and maybe look at getting back to basics, right? Prioritize nutrient dense animal foods, beef, pork, chicken, lamb, all the things, right? Make sure you're getting plenty of animal fats, lard, which is from pigs, tallow, which is from beef. Those are the two most prevalent ones you're going to find. You can use a little bit of olive oil if you so choose, avocado oil, but these are sometimes mixed with with not so great oils like seed oils and the canola and things. And we have to be careful with those. Coconut oil, those are things that can be used if necessary for you. Now, keto does include a bit more flexibility over carnivore. Carnivore is simplifies further, but to me, realistically, both should be as simple as humanly possible. How somebody wants things to be so complicated is beyond me. I mean, full transparency, I am lazy as shit when it comes to I try to set myself up so that I can succeed with the least amount of effort on things that don't really that take away from what it is that I really want to be doing. How do I do the dishes as quickly and efficiently as possible? I hate doing the dishes. I don't want to do the dishes. How do I do anything around the house that is easy? That, whether it's the laundry, how do I make things easier for myself? And it really goes into cooking. Cooking takes time away from what I would rather be doing, making videos, making content, holding my granddaughter. These are things that take priority. How do I spend time with my granddaughter? How do I spend less time doing the things I don't want to do? How do I simplify those things? And while I do enjoy cooking and all, and then the cleanup is another thing that so how do I simplify that? How do I make things as easy as possible for myself? And I think that should be something that we all prioritize, right? How do we make this as easy as we can for ourselves? So what do I do? Now, everyone's going to be different, but I keep frozen burger patties in the freezer. I keep steakums in the freezer. I keep plenty of eggs, bacon. I should keep more cooked bacon, but I don't because, again, lazy. And it's even easy to cook bacon. It's really not hard. I have 2 trays that each hold a pound of bacon each. Put them in the oven. Super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Still don't do it. So typically my normal meals, like the other day I threw some frozen onions into a pan with the olive oil and the from my my sardines, my boneless skinless sardines, 2 cans of sardines, not all the oil from both cans, that's too much oil. I like some butter. And then I let that kind of simmer and become translucent with the onions, and then I poured in 8 eggs. So I had 8 eggs, 2 cans of sardines. I have no idea how much fat that was. I have no idea how much fat really that was, but it was about 100 grams of protein and, probably 6 grams of carbs because of the onions. Now, you could have done that without the onions, but I wanted the onions in there, and they were delicious to me. So that's what I had the other day. And I know we had talked about this, I think on our Tuesday live, maybe. That's what I was going to have. Maybe on my Sunday live. I can't remember which one it was. But it was one of the things that we talked about, and that I was going to have sardines with eggs. And there's just not, they're just delicious. There's nothing really fishy about it. I know that Carrie's making a joke, but I just think they're just delicious. And, but that's just something. How do you canned this and chicken, and I make chicken thighs. Chicken thighs just take a long time to make. I make them. You can argue who did it first, whether I knew about Butter Bob long before I knew about Rick and his heart attack chicken. Rick isn't here yet. Where is Rick? He must be working or doing something. But we buy the value packs of the chicken thighs, the Tyson chicken thighs, which they're probably, who knows what's in those, and are they here? So one thing that I do want to kind of touch on, if you are very new here, you are going to be inundated through and through with people saying that you need to eat locally sourced, free range, this, that, and the other, organic. Now, where you live, what your financial situation is, are going to dictate this more so than what you really need to. So, like us, I can't afford that. We buy the chicken thighs that are $1.77 a pound. I buy frozen burger patties that are like $4 a pound. I would like to be able to find burger cheaper than that, but it's very difficult these days. Used to be $1.99 a pound, $1.89 a pound, sometimes even $1.29 a pound for ground beef. I'm sure there was even a time some of you in the chat will remember that they were 99 cents a pound. But food is going bananas expensive. So how do we combat that? I released a video earlier this week talking about a lawsuit with Costco chicken. I still think, even with everything we know, if you are a family and you are struggling, it is still a better option than boxed mac and cheese. It's still a better option than a frozen pizza. Costco chicken's still in our rotation. Until we can do better, we're going to utilize them. Because that's $5 for 3 pounds of meat. at least 3 pounds of meat, because it has to be a Costco chicken. For those of you who do not know, must weigh at least 3 pounds or they discount it. Oftentimes it's 4, 5 to 6 pounds, depending on the season and all that. I asked a lady at Costco the other day because I saw that they had a scale out and she was weighing each chicken as she bagged them up. And I had never seen that before. So she told me that if the chicken weighs less than 3 pounds, it gets discounted. So you can rest assured, for all intents and purposes, most of the time, depending on who's doing it, that those chickens weigh at least 3 pounds and they're charging you the $4.99. So the thing about it is you don't need grass-fed, free range, tucked in at night, hugged and loved. I mean, is that great? If you can afford to buy all of your food from a local rancher that you know, and you got to pick out the cow and you know that all that meat came from one cow, that's awesome. More power to you. We have to live the life we can afford. And I know that the argument is, well, if you don't spend money on your health now, you're going to pay money for medicine later. Yes, I understand that full well. But in the meantime, the transition from standard American diet or worse into some semblance of a proper human diet, that transition shouldn't be like, you shouldn't be judging people and making them feel bad because they're not buying the organic, fresh, all of these things right out. If you can, you got to work your way up to that kind of stuff to know. I went through and tried all the frozen burger patties from all the different stores to find out that Walmart tastes the best. And that's, I mean, realistically, the most affordable in most cases. Now, sometimes Costco will have some sales that get the price for quality, for higher quality, to a closer price to Walmart. And I will then get some of those, whether I get the organic ones, the grass-fed ones, or just like the chuck ones or whatever. But just working and trying to simplify getting everything out of your house takes time. You have to make a decision like we did. Do we just throw away the food? Do we give it away? What do we do with it? Because it's not really fit for human consumption if we're getting rid of it. If we're not going to eat it anymore, but we don't want to throw away food that may keep somebody from going hungry. It's that catch-22, right? So we want to make sure that understanding that simplification is best. How do we keep the foods on hand that we need without keeping everything else that nothing else that we need in the house? I have a cabinet full of keto chow. I hardly ever utilize keto chow as the shake. I use it for recipes, and sometimes at night I will have a hot keto. Like tonight, it's a cold, super cold night. I will probably have a nice hot keto chow tonight. But then I'm also going to be the kind of creator here, and even though I am an affiliate with Keto Chow and Salty and a couple other companies as well, none of those are necessities to your success unless you see them that way. I will never tell somebody you have to use Keto Chow to be successful. You have to use Salty to be successful. Now, when it comes to Salty as an electrolyte, you will need electrolytes to be successful. So whether you use Salty or Element or what other brands are out there that you decide to use, whether you're even utilizing a separate, a pill or whatever, like, a supplement, whatever you need, electrolytes are necessities. just doesn't need to be brand specific for you. I prefer salty because they are the cleanest. They have no citric acid, they have no maltodextrin, and no colors. They've got rid of the colors. So there's no dyes. They're clear. As you can see, this is, I mean, it's in a Walmart cut or Walmart, McDonald's. McDonald's is the Walmart of fast food, but this is grape right here. This is grape salty and it's clear. And we have to make sure that we're there for our new people. We have to make sure that people understand that it's okay to fail. It's okay to have a bad meal. It's okay to have a bad day. But with a bad meal, with a bad day, you have to make sure that you understand that it's right back on track. Right back. You had a bad meal doesn't mean you ruined the week. It's like if somebody says something to you at the grocery store, or somebody cuts you off, or somebody does something rude to you. Don't let a 10-second interaction ruin 24 hours of your day. Don't let one meal ruin the week. And one meal isn't going to ruin all of your progress. So, getting back into, how would I start keto today? Focus on food, not rules. So again, how do I keep carbs as low as possible? If where possible, start with total carbs. I started with net carbs, and because that was the thing, and then looking into total carbs seemed like such a stretch. It seemed impossible. However, can we even eat anything if we're doing total carbs? How can I keep my stuff under 20 grams of total carbs a day? How can I do that? That's impossible. I mean, is it possible? For the most part, yeah. But you don't need to be perfect. But just understand that meat, eggs, good animal fats, some low carb veggies, maybe some low carb fruits if you can tolerate them, in season berries, blueberries and raspberries. I mean, even if you have a strawberry, like the other day, I had about 6 grapes. Was that the end of the world for me? Absolutely not. It wasn't 6 grapes that got me fat. I bought these grapes for the granddaughter. She loves grapes. And they were ginormous, big, green, juicy, delicious looking grapes. And normally I don't even care. Normally I just buy them, I put them down, and she eats them. But she ate the whole bag in a day. They're supposed to be for her lunches for a couple of days. She ate the whole bag in a day. And should she have? Absolutely not. Is it better than Cheetos? Probably. But still, how do we live real life doing this? We have to make this real life. We have to fit keto and carnivore into our lives. It doesn't work the other way. You can't jam your life into a specific type of diet. It never works that way. Now, in the extreme, where if in the extreme, you are suffering from all these chronic things and you need to go lion diet, and it's imperative for your survival that you go lion diet, just beef, salt, and water, then yeah, you kind of have to jam yourself into that. But that's, in my opinion, the exception and not the rule, right? So again, focusing on foods, not rules. Meat, eggs, meat, eggs, fats, low carb vegetables, some low carb fruits if you need them. Remove sugar and refined carbohydrates first. Purge your house to the best of your ability. It is easier if you live with just you and a spouse, but if you have children, think about lowering their intake of these things as well. I'm not here to give medical advice because I am not a healthcare professional. I am not a doctor or a nurse or anything like that. I am in the process of becoming a health coach. Very different. But I would say it should not be outside of the realm of possibility to consider children eating this way. Now, that doesn't mean you're not a complete lunatic and don't let your kids have birthday cake at a birthday party or hot dogs at a birthday party or whatever. Set your kids up to understand what food choices can be, what food choices are. Allow them to try to figure things out for themselves, what works for them in certain capacities. Let them make their choices. Because if we beat it into them, then they're always going to be like kids and rebel against what you want them to do. But if you set them up to hopefully make better choices, they will make better choices. But again, it doesn't need to be perfect. Simplicity beats optimization. But I mean, how can I optimize my simplicity? How can I make this as easy and streamlined and thoughtless as I need it to be? How do I remove the thinking out of what I'm doing? Because if I'm thinking, then things are going to go a little different sometimes. Because then I'm going to be like, oh, you know what sounds good? I'm thinking I should eat this. Is that the best plan? No. But if I just automatically have my burgers and my eggs and some bacon and whatever else in that, like chicken thighs, whatever, if I make that as thoughtless and as easy as I can, I'm going to be more likely to be successful. And you might be too. But again, that takes honesty. It takes real deep analysis of who you are as a person. And, now, does keto often lead naturally towards carnivore? For some people reduce plant foods naturally. Some people never really liked broccoli in the first place. Oddly enough, before we went keto, I had never really liked broccoli. It was disgusting. I like broccoli now. You know what I mean? Because it can be that, leading into carnivore from keto can help some digestion relief. I got that from keto. Cravings fade. I got that from keto. Less decision fatigue. I get that from keto. But again, my keto tends to be more carnivore based anyway. No rush and no pressure. I think going into a keto low carb process, just kind of like, what can you do that's sustainable for you? You have to look at what your normal diet is. If your normal diet is macaroni and cheese, pizza, ice cream, chicken nuggets, chicken tenders, fast food every day, and then you're going to go into trying to be perfect, strict carnivore. I mean, is it possible? Yeah, sure, it's possible. But how do you set yourself up for success? Coming from kind of the opposite end of optimal, trying to bring yourself into optimal, we have to look at who you are, what is going to make you successful, and coming in and just, sometimes sometimes it is like a Band-Aid. But understanding who you are, what really needs to happen. If you are someone like I was, who is severely food addicted, I had food addiction issues, quantity issues, binging, and all these things. When I started this path, I was packing, huge lunches for myself, right? More than I could eat a day. But I did that because in the beginning I wanted to make sure that I was removing the obstacle of the place where I worked. There was always bowls of sugar, candy. There was cakes coming in, pizzas coming in, people offering you to order out for lunch, for Chinese food, all these things. There was all these distractions. How do we set ourselves up to avoid those pitfalls? So what I was doing was trying to make it as easy as I could for myself. And I was packing boiled eggs, lots of boiled eggs, lunch meat, bacon. I was packing string cheese, just big bags of food. Just, if anything came up, I could eat a string cheese. I could have a boiled egg. Drinking coffee, the keto butter coffee, like right here. So let's take a look here. So we have something in the chat. Somebody asking some questions, and they're valid questions. So let's go ahead and see if I can find them here in the chat, because these are things that I want to discuss, because it's very important. If we are asking new people to come in here, this is a valid question. Why is this man still so overweight after years in keto? I know he came from 420 pounds, but he should be under 200 by now. It's been years and years. This is a journey. I got down to about 273 just before the pandemic. Pandemic changed my entire life. I was working in an office. We were sent home. Being sent home changed the entire dynamic for me. And I've been struggling to get back ever since. So I would love to be under 200 pounds by now. I would love that. But I show up and I'm still doing everything that I need to do. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. Now, some people will lose weight very quickly, and some people will maintain that quickly and maintain that for a long time. Not everybody does. And again, that's what's important about places and and channels like this, because not everything goes according to plan. Not everything goes and runs as smoothly as we like, right? You say whatever he does, it doesn't work. I am, whether the weight is an issue or not, I still keep my food addiction under control. I have better control of my satiety, and I am not eating like I used to eat. Am I eating perfectly? Absolutely not. But again, this is a channel, and I am very, very transparent about a lot of this. I'm transparent about everything. If you are new to this channel, you may not know that. But people in this chat understand where I'm coming from, and where I'm coming from is important for others to know, because it's possible. And these are things that can happen to people. But we don't give up. We keep going. And the question, how much do I cheat? How much processed keto junk food I eat? Definitely doesn't track calories, or he wouldn't be this fat. He looks diabetic. Well, I mean, and there's obviously better ways to phrase things to be less rude. I mean, that's just the case. But no, I don't track calories, because I don't think calories matter as much as most people do. But I am always in a position here to keep moving forward and trying to better myself. And my last A1C was like 5.4. So take that and make that as what you will. And again, you're saying at least I acknowledge it. I have never not been transparent on this channel. If you are in any of these lives, I do them every single Sunday for the most part. And I am very upfront and very honest about everything that goes on here. So, and again, coming in here and just being rude, I don't understand that. You're huge. You're huge. Well, you know what? I might be big, but I'm still here trying to help other people, trying to help myself. And coming in here and talking this way does not help you at all. And I understand it might be true, but that's not the way that how does that help anyone? So, I mean, if you want to be a part of this community, you're more than welcome. But this kind of dialogue isn't appropriate. We're here to support each other, regardless of what we look like. Because what we look like isn't about how much we try, it isn't about how successful we are all the time. I got to catch back up here, get myself situated back in the chat. Steadfast is talking about the first coffee this month: organic, decaf, butter, bone broth, protein, cream, and salt. I will admit, for the remainder of January, has been easy to swap for bone broth. Oh, I understand that. But the lack of caffeine, I'm sure I'd probably be better off without it, but I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Mr. Gugahan is on an early morning grocery haul. Good morning and have a great live. You will probably still be live when I get home. All right. I love it. Thank you, Mr. Gugahan. And Carrie says, hello, everyone. Sunday is weird since we have a wintry mix today is where Texans can't drive on the road. So they close church service and I will see it later online. Well, that's good. And Stacy hits us right where we should be. She does Stacy keto. Carrie does Carrie keto. I do what I need to do for myself. We just have to figure out what works for us. If it's not working, we have to change it. Brian is saying that GLP-1s have been used for weight loss and type 2 diabetes control for almost 20 years. Okay, yeah, I wasn't aware of that, but they haven't been up front in the forefront of major discussions and kind of in the limelight like they are right now, where everybody's talking about GLP-1s. I'm guessing they've been kind of in the background. Jerry says she loves the two keto dudes too. Yeah, I actually even had Richard on one of my. I have. If you go back and you find there's a playlist that's podcasts. I have 11 episodes, and one of those is Richard. Josephine is here. Good morning, Josephine. Glad to see you, my dear. I got your email. I would like to show everybody that picture, but I didn't get a chance to get it set up to show everybody before I started the stream. So I will probably show it to everybody on Tuesday. But Josephine was sweet enough to send me a picture of another painting that she has done of me and Chandra, and I love it. It's amazing. And Sharon Holloway is here. Good morning from cold and snowy Ohio. Mr. Gugahan is listening while shopping. And Aaron says, would you believe keto still seems confusing to me? What are some of the low-carb vegetables? I guess I could ask Google. Like broccoli. See, I look at vegetables and I don't really care about, like when it comes to like broccoli, like the net carbs and such like that. That's one of those things because, I mean, you're probably going to poop out most of the broccoli. You're probably going to poop out more of it. So, I mean, you're probably not getting as much of it. So broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, those would be considered more the low carb vegetables to me. Basically, all the cruciferous vegetables. Kale, not so much, but kale is just weird. Kale's a decoration. Yeah, and low carb fruits. So, like berries would be like raspberries, blueberries, strawberries. They're not super high. They're not super high in sugar. Here you go. That doesn't say poop. I mean, I always question that when we talk about calories in, calories out. We look at how much calories we're intaking into our body, but we never measure how much calories we poop out. Has anyone ever taken poop and put it on the calorimeter and see how much poop is there? So, I mean, I know that there's bacteria in there from inside your body and stuff that has grown, so it might be off a little bit, but I'm just curious. Oh yeah, green beans are lower in carbs. I actually like green beans a lot. Yeah, Rick uses poop as fuel. Let's see. Cucumbers, mushrooms, tomatoes. I eat berries, rhubarb, lemons, and limes. Yeah, lemons, limes. Yeah, those things are all, I mean, because typically you're not eating an entire lemon. You're taking a couple of squeezes out of or whatever in your water. I mean, even if you're eating a little lemon, who cares? Lemonade, that kind of stuff. Yeah, Jerry's saying, raspberries, blackberries, strawberries, blueberries are the lowest in carbs. And Aaron says, good. That's what I buy my kids. They like those little tomatoes. Yeah. Chandra likes tomatoes with it might be it's shitty oils, but she likes tomatoes with the little mozzarella cheese balls and like an Italian dressing. And we just she likes the cheap one, even as seed oil, she still eats it. And I'm like, ugh, it's better her than me, I guess. But yeah. And I mean, kids have better abilities to. I mean, realistically, in life, we ate berries when they were in season. We ate things in season. So Carnivore or Jerry asked Erin if she's considering going keto, and she says, no, I just want to know about it. I buy the stuff for my kids, so I want to make sure I'm not buying them crazy sugary stuff. Yeah, I mean, I mean, that stuff is good. I mean, I like apples. I'll have a couple apples a year. We usually go to the apple orchard once a year. I'll have a couple apples a year. I don't eat a lot of fruit. I don't really like blueberries, raspberries, blackberries. I don't like that kind of stuff. But I'll have an apple or two here or there every once in a while, oranges every once in a while. And, back to transparency, I think one of the biggest things for me is the fact that I'm stuck at home all the time and I don't get as much movement as I used to. Even just being at work, like even though I had an office desk job, I was still losing lots and lots of weight, but I was moving, doing stuff. I was, packing envelopes and stuff and sending out paperwork to people for their cars and moving around. I feel like I don't get hardly any movement. And I know that was one of my plans for the year was to get more movement, but it's always difficult to implement that. And then it's 5 degrees outside, -3, -2, -10. And I know, and just moving around your house is difficult when it's cold and all you want to do is bundle up with a blanket, hold your granddaughter and watch TV, take a nap. But yeah. And Aaron says bananas and potatoes were sold out everywhere I went. Well, bananas and potatoes aren't really low carb. And I've never really been a big banana fan. I'd have a banana or two a year, even back before. But because I thought I should eat those. I thought I should have those. Everyone wants to make banana potato soup. Potato soup, I do miss potato, like a cheesy, thick, creamy potato soup. I do miss that. But I mean, there was a restaurant in town here that makes keto foods, and they have a Asiago cauliflower soup. Oh, that's so dreamy. And then they also have a broccoli cheddar soup that's really good too. Oh, we buy I keep a lot of lunch meat in the house, chicken and turkey. Jerry says, "Oh yeah, I don't. It blew my mind to see cotton candy grapes in the store. Not like they're already sweet enough." Yes, but selective breeding on fruit has been a thing for hundreds, if not thousands, of years. We've been selectively breeding foods for a very, very long time. That's how we got bananas that we have now. That's how we have broccoli and Brussels sprouts and all that, because they're all relatively the same. They're all the same plant. They're just grown differently in different areas, but they're the same plant. So we've been selectively breeding foods for thousands of years to make things more palatable for us to eat. So if we're going to have to eat them, it's easier for us to eat so we can survive, making more food so we can survive. Risa says, cheapest I see ground beef, non-grass fed, is $2.99 a pound. Grass fed, $5.99 to $7.99. Eggs have been super cheap lately, $1.59 a dozen. Non-pat. Yeah, and I saw a thing about a lot of that and how much soy they're fed and linoleic acid, and I'm still like, if the bottom of the barrel eggs are still $10 for 5 dozen, that's still basically $2 a dozen. How do we fit in? How do we afford to live in a pasture raised world where you're paying who knows how much for eggs and beef? How do we afford that? How do we make that work for us? Yeah, Aaron says we have Gordon's Food Service. We have GFS as well. Let's say around us, always $3.99 a pound, $4.29 a pound of ground beef, 10-pound tubes. Yeah, I used to buy. I would go to Walmart when they were $1.99 a pound for the longest time. So they were $10, or they were $20. They were $20 tubes. I'd buy 5 of them for $100. So I'd buy 50 pounds of hamburger for $100. Flatten it out, put it in the freezer, put I don't know how much I would put in each bag or whatever, just to fill a gallon Ziploc bag, flatten it to about that thick, and then just stack them in the freezer, and then they would freeze, and you just pull one out, and you would thaw it, and then you just cut it, and then I would just make them like hamburger steaks almost. Steadfast says, I keep great value burger patties in my freezer at all times. Yeah, I do too. It doesn't matter to me whether they're the red or the yellow. Just depends, because sometimes they don't always have the yellow ones, so we get the red ones. They're just whether they're 73-27 or 80-20. Cassandra Ria's in the house. Good morning, dear. I'm going to keep the stream going on my phone while I go back to sleep. All right. I like it. Yeah, Carl's right. It was the 7th grape. Yep. 8, 6 grapes. Cool. 7 grapes. Obesity. Lisa's here. Good morning, Lisa. So glad to see you. Oh, and Rick is here. Good morning, Rick. Glad to see you, my friend. How are you, Rick?
Rick. Let's get dangerous.
Yes. Welcome, Rick. Glad to see you, my friend. Oh, let's see. Gary said Friday night they had free food. It was spaghetti noodles with meat and sauce. I had to embrace that with the other food they gave us, and I got around got around the rest of the carbs and ate my eggs. You're going to have that. I mean, sometimes, realistically, if you are sometimes eating food is food, and I know you want to be carnivore, but like, if you don't have food and then, you know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I'm going to eat. Jerry's got a question. Dustin and anyone else too. Have you tried the new salty or the salter invented by the guy who started Meat Stock, Scott? I have not. I have not tried it. They have not contacted me to try it. I think it's a little weird that they have named their product so close to salty, but that's just me. Aaron says, thought someone was knocking on my door. The chickens are at the front porch. Andy says, our order from Keto Chow showed up before the storm. Cocoa variety and 5 packs of the newest tester. Peanut butter chocolate. Oh my goodness. That salty is awesome. I have some. I just haven't tried it. I've got all those things. Oh. Jackie's here. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us, dear. How are you? I haven't seen you in a while. Probably been busy with the reno of the house and all the houses for sale and all that stuff. Let's see. We've already talked to that person. Let's see. And I've got this on subscriber, so you had to subscribe and hang out for a while to come in and talk. So you'll have that. There we go. B is here. Good morning. It's Becky. Hello, Becky. Mr. Biscuit's in the house. Good morning. Sup, fam? Oh, let's see. Let's see. Sunday Chronicles is in the house. There we go. That's the one. There we go. Sonny's in the house. How you doing? Bradley. Brad is here, says Sean. I don't know why I call you. Sean says Dustin is one of the most upfront and honest people you will ever meet. There is more to this than just following keto. Everyone's journey has its bumps. We value everyone here and respect them. Yeah, 100%. That's what's so important about community. I mean, we have to stand up for each other. We have to be here for each other. We have to understand that people are going to come in here and they're going to do their best and still fail, regardless of what we have. The help that we give, the example we lead. People are going to come in and they're still going to fail, and that's okay. But we want them to keep coming back. We want them to keep sticking around. We want them to be a part of the community because that's what we have. Lewis is in the house. Good morning, Lewis. And Mr. Mopar says, I rarely get mean comments. Well, I mean, that's why I put the subscriber restrictions on the lives. I want new people to come in and I want new people to be here, but I also want new people to be here on purpose. I want people to come in and watch and hopefully be able to interact in a meaningful way. And I understand that people come in and they have not the best etiquette. And, and that's kind of how I thought about what I thought about Rick at first. I thought Rick was rude at first. I thought Rick, and you just kind of get to know Rick and you're like, okay, well, Rick is just, Rick is, well-meaning, Rick is a good person. But I thought he was a troll at first. I mean, when someone comes in, that's what I thought. But I mean, it takes time sometimes because again, we're really looking at chat, text, plain text. Very little room for nuance with text. Kevin's here. Good. Almost said good evening. It's still dark. It's whatever it is. But good morning, Kevin. Glad to see you, my friend. And Brian says, we are exposing ourselves to the criticism that one of GLP-1 channels that I follow saying it like, we can share our journey, but we should never compare our journeys. Yeah, I mean, because all of our journeys are going to be different, even if they're on the same path. Like we're all, whether it's keto, carnivore, we're all on a path to better ourselves. But that doesn't mean all of our journeys are going to be linear. I mean, we're here. Hopefully we are honest, transparent, letting people know where we are, why we're where we are, those things. But just coming in with, even if you have questions of the validity of a channel you're watching based on aesthetics, like the person that is talking about health and wellness is still overweight. I saw that with other creators years ago. And I mean, for me, knowing and seeing somebody who struggles the way that I do is better than seeing somebody who's jacked. And, you're seeing, see somebody who's jacked and they're like, you can do this too. And I'm like, maybe, but did you ever struggle like I've struggled? I mean, and I know that's all about a journey, but like, I don't know. Lewis is asking, what's up, everybody? The snow has arrived in New York City and it looks so nice. I love that. I love the snow when I don't have to get out in it. If I have to get out in it, then I'm not a big fan of snow. Yeah, Booby got me to say poop and booby every day. Every time Booby comes into my chat, she gets me to say booby. And I'll say poop just for you if that's what you want. Aaron, if that's what you want. Oh, yeah, cabbage. Cabbage is good. I like cabbage. Cabbage is good. I haven't had it in a long time. It's good with butter and you just like saute it down. Josephine says, good. Thomas Target Prime Rib inspired the theme. I love it. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Sherry just made a hot mocha keto chow and added Nescafe instant espresso, keto brains, and collagen powder. That sounds delicious. Now, I used to agree with Rick. I used to hate vegetables. I used to hate them so much. Like broccoli tasted terrible. Brussels sprouts tasted terrible till you realize you cook them in good fat, saute them, maybe get some crust on them. Ooh, some salt, some seasoning. Delicious. I love green beans. My grandmother used to make me green beans with like minced onions. She'd put equal in it for some reason. I don't know why. She'd put equal in it. And Aaron says, I'm not eating that, Risa. My kids keep complaining about vegetables. I buy them and they rot in the fridge. I stopped buying fresh. Vegetables a long time ago. The only time we buy fresh is if I know we're actually going to use them like that day, or like maybe buy them on a Friday if we're going to cook something on Saturday. But typically, all the vegetables I buy are frozen. I buy the flash frozen vegetables, broccoli, Brussels sprouts. I keep bags of frozen diced onions in the fridge. I've got some real onions in the fridge or in the pantry, but I'll probably forget about those, and they'll probably grow other onions. You know what I mean? But that's a thing that happens, right? I do not like mushrooms, but I understand why people do like them. Risa says mushrooms are excellent. I like the different ones. My son loves them and never complains when nope, no thanks. No beans, no mushrooms. Not into it. And Biscuit says all vegetables have some level of anti-nutrient. None of it is acceptable to me at the moment. We'll see if that ever changes for me. Yeah. And I mean, that's just part of understanding, your path and what works best for you. Maritza is here. Good morning, Maritza. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Risa says at Costco, I buy the huge thing of Wild Wonders mixed grape tomatoes. I see those, but Shannon doesn't like those. She just likes the little cherry tomatoes to mix with her cheese balls. Carrie says we have to watch out with the oranges with Dustin. He might be peeing it out. Yeah. Weird. You can pack your own tomatoes and mozzarella and EVOO. Yeah, I mean, if I was into it, that's probably what I would do. But she just likes the Italian dressing. I know it's got the seed oil, but she doesn't even eat it once a week, maybe once or twice a month. So I mean, it's up to her. It's her. I mean, if she doesn't feel bad after it, then it's what it is, I guess. Do tell me about that restaurant, Dustin. Yeah, it's Rockstar Pizza. We have to meet there one day. It's in Brownsburg. We have to meet there and have lunch sometime when it's not freezing cold. We'll have to do it. Jerry says, right. Last year I had a spinal fusion, not a lot of movement, and then a new hip installed. And again, not a lot of movement. I had to revisit, let's see, something several times, and I'm not doing an active job. Yeah. Like, I mean, just going up and down the stairs, moving around, like, I'll put my watch on in the morning and then I'll just go downstairs. I'll put clothes on, go downstairs, make my coffee, and it's like, great job, you're working out. I'm like, that's awful. I'm not getting enough movement, and my watch thinks I'm working out by making my coffee. That's terrible. And Biscuit says, bottom of the barrel eggs, ground beef have helped me heal. I spent too much money trying to get started for too long. Do your own n equals one, and find out for you. Yeah. I mean, in a perfect world, we would all be eating, pasture raised and organic everything, and everything would be perfect. Nothing factory farmed, and we would have everything the way that we were supposed to. But we as humans, as intelligent as we are, we've given up the ghost a long time ago on what real nutrition is. Right? I mean, with the Industrial Revolution, we have completely abandoned what it is to eat healthy. And probably even before that, we probably lost it as well. Basically, we probably lost it when we started living in bigger groups and bigger towns, and we were trying to feed ourselves. Somebody on Twitter the other day, or X or whatever you want to call it, was saying the biggest conundrum that we have is the fact that we need to feed so many people. So then we do it and we feed them awful food. So yes, we are feeding everybody, but we're doing a terrible job doing it. And because, we should all be doing single ingredient, whole foods. I've even said, whether it's potatoes or carrots or whatever, sure. If it grows in the ground or on a tree or as an animal, as long as you're not processing it into something that it isn't, you know. I mean, and I'm not talking like mashed potatoes, like taking potatoes and then adding some milk and butter and some salt or whatever and pouring a meat gravy over the top, whatever, right? I don't consider that a mash. I don't consider that a processed food unless that mashed potato comes in a box and they're flaked and all you got to do is add water. That's a processed food. But taking those potatoes and mashing them up and adding a little bit of milk and some butter, I don't really consider that a processed food. Still single ingredient because potatoes one ingredient, butter's an ingredient, salt's an ingredient, milk's an ingredient, but there's not all these starches and things added in and all that stuff. Now, I mean, is that probably going to be healthy for everybody? Absolutely not. But again, we're trying to talk about getting the masses transitioned from eating a standard American diet into something that resembles a diet that a human should eat. Sharon says, we just went to level 3 for Ross County, Ohio, and the snow is steady. Oh, goodness. Lisa's trying to keep up with the chat while she's crocheting. Good morning to me. Good morning. Hanging out with Jen is here. Good morning, Jen. Glad to see you. Risa says this week ShopRite has one of those deals. Buy 2 packs of ground beef, specific one, and get a package of tortillas, a tomato, a bag of lettuce, a small bag of lettuce, and 3 other items for free. I give away the tortillas. Yeah, I mean, I would see that at like if you buy this and you get this and this for free or whatever. That's pretty neat, though. Let's see. Sharon says, after this round of snowstorms, I'm having my tractor fitted with a block warmer. It won't start in these low temps, and I have one heck of a long driveway to shovel. Oh my goodness gracious, no way. Plus, I'm too old to shovel this crap now. Yeah, 100%. Oh my goodness. And Rick says, amazing anyone would consider me a troll. Well, at first, when you first came in, I didn't know who you were. I didn't understand. And sometimes because people come in and say things and you're like, what are you here? Like, what, like, are you here? Like when people come in and they want to be a part of the community, but some people just don't know how to interact with other people and you're not sure, but you've grown on us, Rick. You are one of us. You are one of us. And Mr. Biscuit says, we've all had this struggle or one's very similar, Dustin. Community is built on strong foundation of understanding, compassion, and grace. Our eyes are open and our hearts are compassionate. 100%. I love it. And look who joins the party. Miss Cindy DeMange is here. Mrs. Cindy DeMange is here. Welcome, dear. Glad to see you. Yeah. Cindy says, we only have one shovel. I guess I don't have to help. I love it. I salted our, even though it's been super duper cold, like low temperatures, I salted our driveway and that helped a lot in the first part of the snow, but I don't think it's going to do much for this and exactly the extreme low temperatures. Stacy says, I quit my coaching class as I don't feel worthy of helping others. Imposter syndrome, I can go back to it. But yes, I was over 400 pounds, now 170 off 20 medications. I'm glad Dr. Cybus is diagnosed my hyperthyroid. Yeah. So here's how I look at coaching. Coaching is helping somebody get out of their own way. If somebody is coming to be coached, they already have a pretty good idea of what it is they want to do. They may need a little help kind of narrowing things down, kind of getting, and then really just getting out of their own way, because we make excuses for ourselves. So I don't necessarily think, that you have to be, and that's one of the things they talk about in our coaching class, is the fact that you don't need to be where you need to be or where you want to be a good coach. You have to be able to listen, empathize, and basically understand where they want to go, where they are, and how to help them really just get out of their own way to get there. My sister was shocked when we put my dad on a keto diet and mentioned that there's way too much cabbage on the diet. What? Even I eat cabbage twice a year at most. Oh, Josephine says, I need to go to bed. Enjoy your beautiful night, day, and beautiful bacon ribs. Yeah. Well, we love you, Josephine. You have a great night and get a good night's sleep, dear. And Sharon is expanding her garden this year. Let's see. I will can and process a lot. I know we will use, but a number of veggies will be for during the season only. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Love that. Definitely when it's not freezing cold. Yeah, for sure. Carl says, I love Italian dressing with olive oil. Just have to choose the well-made dressing or make it ourselves. We make our own herb and spice combos and can dump that into olive oil and vinegar as desired. Yeah. Sounds delicious. Brian got behind. He's listening to me chipmunk speed. Never too old unless you're dead. Yeah, 100%. And Thomas is here. Good morning, Thomas. Glad to see you, my friend. How are you? Risa says, Steve finally bought a bag of salt, but it wouldn't be effective with the amount of snow. Trevor and Steve will shovel continuously for hours, and hopefully we will get out of here. Snow through mid-Monday. Ugh. I'm going to make sure we have to probably send all the kids out there to shovel today, too. Ugh. At least make it to where Chandra can get in the house after she gets off work. Oh, my goodness gracious, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so let's get back to our conversation here. Let's get back to, I've gotten all the way caught up with the chat again. So again, people who lean naturally towards carnivore, maybe those who are looking for reduced plant foods, digestive relief. But I still found cravings faded when I went to keto, and the same thing with less decision fatigue. I tell you one thing that when we started keto, though, is when I would build the plates or put the food on the plates, it would always seem like there was something missing. I feel like when you are making that transition, you would always make sure you had enough variety in your food. Like you'd have a meat, a veggie, and then like two other sides, whether it was like macaroni and cheese and something else. So like, I don't know. But again, we've got to make sure then we also are really discussing heavily electrolytes. One of the most ignored pieces of going to a ketogenic lifestyle. And even now, even with some carnivore people, they're talking about, I don't even salt my food. Oh, that's good for you, Holmes. You know what I mean? That's good for you. But the average person probably does need to get their electrolytes in order. Why insulin? So when insulin drops, this causes electrolyte loss because when insulin drops, kidneys release stored sodium, and typically when your body flushes out all that sodium, potassium, and magnesium are sure to follow. So you need to make sure you are bulking up on sodium, potassium, and magnesium, making sure. So what I do when it comes to a sodium with magnesium is magnesium. I take a compound. It's like, depending on which one I have, I've had some that were 5, some of them were 10 different types of magnesium, because certain magnesiums are more digestible than others, more bioavailable than others. Like because the 3 main magnesiums you're going to see in the grocery as a supplement are going to be magnesium citrate, magnesium glycate, and magnesium oxide. Now, my understanding is that magnesium oxide is not bioavailable really to humans. So if you're taking it, you're not really doing or getting yourself any further ahead than if you didn't take it. So that's why usually we take a magnesium supplement as well, potassium supplement, even with taking electrolytes like with the salty. So, you know, because I think it's very important to make sure you're getting plenty of electrolytes. And I know if anybody has struggled with keto flu or fatigue, whether early on or even if you're finding yourselves some kind of readapting to it, because that's kind of one of the things that happens is we'll kind of get fatiguey, and we're like, well, why is this happening? Well, you're low on electrolytes. It's not always just cramps and things like that, but cramps is a good way to know you're low on electrolytes. And macros will add up, like we can look at macros. Protein as a foundation, fat for satiety, carbs naturally fall into place. If you are not a severe food addicted person, I think carbs really, they will kind of fall into place, but I think it all comes down to how you look at them. As I would rather live without a calculator, without dependency of macros and calories and intuitive eating. And, again, the scale is a single data point: water weight, inflammation, glycogen loss, hormonal shifts, metabolic healing isn't linear. I mean, because I have done 2-week water fast where the last day of the water fast, I gained weight. And like, well, where did the weight come from? I was drinking water and taking in unflavored electrolytes. Where was the weight coming from? And as I found with fasting, I utilize electrolytes less and less through the fast, because and you can tell too how much electrolytes you need based on how salty the water tastes. So I was using clean slate salty, which is just an unflavored electrolyte, just the potassium, magnesium, and sodium. And the first few days, I was mixing it in with about 20 ounces of water, sometimes 30 ounces of water, depending on what I'm doing. And then as I got, so one packet to 20 to 30 ounces of water towards the end of the fast, I was adding in a packet into 3 of those. So I was splitting it into thirds or a half or a third, because it was so salty I couldn't even drink it. It tastes like I was drinking like ocean water. So then you do need to pay attention to that, because your body has telltale signs on how to handle that type of stuff, right? So, and one of the things that we come to this diet for is, this lifestyle is mental health, healing, improved mood and mental clarity, reduce cravings and food noise, and and conversations. You have to have conversations with your doctor, because there's going to be things that you probably can come off of. But then again, depending on your doctor may have outdated looks at cholesterol, and whether it's blood pressure, cholesterol. A lot of times with high blood pressure, they want to remove you to say eat a low sodium, when realistically we've seen in studies increased sodium will help reduce the high blood pressure and stuff. So, and finding, and working with a doctor who understands that you're trying to do something for yourself, and say, well, let's try this for 60 days. Let's try this for 90 days. And let's look back at our labs, and how do we communicate with our doctor in a meaningful way, and not just come off as somebody who is, what's the word, like non-compliant. Most doctors, when they put you on a health regimen, even if you follow that regimen to the letter and they don't see the results that they expect, they will just assume that you are non-compliant. They will assume that you aren't doing what you're supposed to do, even if you're following their guidelines, eating their 12 to 13, their 12 or 13 like servings of grain and eating fruits and low fat and low sodium and low meat, and they'll think that you're just non-compliant, so they'll just write you off as not doing what they ask, even if you're doing what they ask and what they've asked you is the wrong thing. And then we have to also really dive into satiety. Satiety is one of those things you can't learn. You can't learn satiety. You have to understand what your body has to be able to understand and recognize the satiety signaling. It has to be able to get that noise down, that I'm always hungry noise, that I didn't eat, everything I wanted to eat today, and I've got this raging appetite, and I have no idea what satiety is. I never understood what satiety was. I was always a person who was, let's eat more, and then I'm going to be hungry. I'm going to eat more. And then one day I was just sitting and I was eating food, and I got to the last couple of bites, and I'm like, I'm done. And that was insane to me. Just being done was crazy. Dealing with satiety, we have to discuss, how the standard American diet breaks your satiety signaling. If your insulin is always elevated, you're never really going to quite feel satiated. You're not going to feel satisfied with what you're eating. I was always hungry because as soon as your insulin level starts to drop, your body starts to panic and wants you to put more food in. Whereas if your insulin levels stay consistent and at a natural, normal human level, then it can understand the fat signaling, the protein signaling, and understand I've had enough food. I'm good for now. And then that helps me be able to go sometimes a day without even eating, without even realizing it. I could never do that before. There was a lot of things that I was never able to do just because of the satiety signaling. The idea of going 12 hours without food is crazy. I would have to eat right before I went to bed, and then I would not necessarily eat as soon as I woke up, but I would think about it. I'd want it. And then we want to discuss like the nuances of fasting and calories, and while we don't want to necessarily lead with them, like I would never recommend someone who's starting a ketogenic lifestyle to start fasting right away. That's one of the things that I have seen. I've been answering some random questions and some keto questions on Reddit, putting together some very thought out, detailed responses. And, people are like, I'm like 5 days in or 5 weeks in. Should I consider fasting? And I'm thinking to myself, absolutely not. I would not recommend fasting that early because, your body's still trying to heal. Your body's still trying to understand satiety. There's a lot of things your body's still trying to regulate insulin. There's just a lot of things that need to happen before I would say you really should start fasting. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't start closing your eating window, because I'm not talking about full on fasting. But if you were a person who didn't go 8 hours without eating, maybe look at closing it to 10. Then after a few weeks, close it to 12, and then 14, and then 16 or 15, whatever you have to do. But understanding that I don't really consider that fasting. Some of they were talking about long, like 3-4 day fasting. I wouldn't say someone start ketogenic lifestyle and within a couple of weeks start doing something like Jerry and do a 40-day fast. That's crazy. I would never recommend that for somebody. I would never recommend a 40-day fast to somebody who's never fasted a week. I would never recommend a week if you haven't fasted for 24 hours or 48 or 72 hours. And even still, I think fasting is one of those things that really should be done slowly and methodically, and you should really understand your body and moving forward with fasting. Oh, my nose is itchy. I'm sorry. But understanding yourself and how you feel, and because you'll need to understand when your body is not doing right and you need to end the fast, you're ready to end the fast. You know what I mean? So that I'm understanding, like how, and not utilizing fasting as a punishment for yourself. I think a lot of times people look at fasting as, I went off the rails this weekend, so I'm going to fast Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and get back on track. And I think if you're looking at fasting as a punishment versus something that is a part of your process or part of your journey, then I think it becomes something that can become very unhealthy in the long run. I mean, are you a person with a history of restriction? You know, yeah, and just realistically looking at letting an eating window expand naturally as your body starts to heal and satiety signalings begin to return to normal. So, you know, normally you would eat it every 12 hours, and then now you're not really that hungry and you're going 16 hours. Then maybe it goes to 18 hours or whatever. And I would like to discuss here, like, we are starting to see a growing pushback of calories only, the narrative that the calories are the only thing that matters. We're finally starting to see, pushback on this from major players, whether it's Gary Taubes or, other people in the space. Gary gets a lot of negative attention for his ideals. He's written some phenomenal books. He's a phenomenal person. And I think one of the things that is coming around now is the increased scrutiny on ultra processed foods, that we shouldn't be relying on that to feed our children, and the bulk of our food intake should not be ultra processed foods. I'm not even saying that if you go and you're doing keto or carnivore, that you're not every once in a while going to have some processed foods. I'm not even saying that, because again, that's your choice, your journey. You have to understand yourself, and can those fit into your lifestyle? Do they make you feel awful? If you every once in a while, every couple of months, you want some macaroni and cheese, whether it's whatever, homemade, or you want some Kraft mac and cheese, and you go and you fire it up and make some, and you feel okay the next day, and you don't have, all these negative impacts with your satiety signaling, then maybe that's fine for you. But again, we're all on separate journeys, and we're all here to trying to understand what works best for us individually. And, things like keto and carnivore becoming less fringe, more discussed. We're seeing more things. And I still think it's still more on the fringe than we like to believe. I think in our community, carnivore has become so overwhelmingly popular, but then we have to take 1,000-foot step back and look at how is it still perceived outside of our community. The average person still thinks it's crazy. The average person still thinks eating only meat is terrifyingly dangerous. Now, I do see more and more things in comment sections where people saying, eating meat is a lot healthier for us, but it's also hard to discern the trolls, people who are saying that just to get a rise out of somebody, versus those people who are actually living a carnivore lifestyle and legitimately making that comment. So these are things that we have to question. Yeah. Sherry's asking what my username on Reddit is. It gave me one. You should be able to put in keto simple in Reddit and find my page. I haven't been posting there. I don't know really how to utilize it, but I can't remember what my username is right off the bat, but my logo is attached to my name, so you may be able to find it there. But Bride's Biscuit, and we'll get to some of these later comments here in a minute, because I'm kind of coming to the end of the talking points that I had for today, and I do have some closing thoughts as we get closer to ending the stream in a little while. But just understanding stress hormones, stressing, when we stress, how that impacts, because cortisol is huge. Not sleeping enough, because we can do everything right, and I think that's a huge part. Another part of why I am where I am is because for the last few years, I stopped utilizing my CPAP. and the cortisol increase, the poor quality sleep truly can impact weight gain, because I saw that as because weight gain and sleep apnea is almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. As your sleep apnea gets worse, you gain weight. As you gain weight, your sleep apnea gets worse. So it's a compounding type thing. So I think that's one of the things that truly helped me, besides an awful diet, helped me get to be above 400 plus pounds, is the fact that my sleep apnea got so bad, I was stopping breathing about 70 times an hour. And so with how bad that got, it stood to reason that I was gaining weight like crazy. And then I went back to I got to where I was sleeping fine and great, losing weight, with a change in diet, going low carb, keto, getting into keto. And then over the years with the sleep apnea machine, the CPAP, I lost a whole bunch of weight, got down to, got under 300 pounds, got into the 270s for the first time in I don't know how many decades, right? And then I got to where I felt like I was sleeping okay. So then I stopped utilizing my CPAP, and then slowly but surely, even if I felt like I was sleeping okay, I was probably still having some sleep apnea issues, maybe, and then those started to creep up, and probably over time, the events were increasing per hour. My cortisol was going up, my stress hormones they were going up, causing you know uh, you know weight gain. And I've only been using my CPAP now for about a month regularly. So it'll take time. We'll see how that starts to help me with weight loss as well. Because I think you could do everything right. But if you're not getting enough sleep and you have sleep apnea and you're not sleeping very well, I truly, truly think that you will not succeed. So I think sleep is probably one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle. Making sure we're getting enough electrolytes, making sure we're getting enough sleep, enough protein, enough fat, where we're not taking in too many carbs and sugars, and we're moving some. But how much do you need to move is a whole other thing, right? So let's go ahead and jump back into the chat, and we'll kind of see if we can get caught up here. Andy says, I'm trying to convince Susan to shovel for Luna, but I have to shovel due to her heart condition. Time to bundle up and brave the cold so Puppy can go out and do her business. I let the dogs out this morning and they did their business prancing through the snow. And Rick says, I don't salt my meats. But so how do you get enough salt, Rick? Maybe you're not drinking as much water as the average person. That's why I made a video about drinking water, because we hear so much different stuff like electrolytes and how much water we're drinking. People who would drink a gallon of water a day, are they taking in enough? Are they taking in enough, electrolytes and all that stuff? It's not doing very well. It's a very kind of poor performing video, only 60 views. But maybe that'll change. Maybe you guys will go and watch that for me and help bump that up some. But Carrie's right. Who let the dogs out? I did, so they can go potty. But yeah, Carl says that I used to crave the variety that you speak of. I crave beef, eggs, and fat from butter and bacon. So weird. I don't even crave hot sauce anymore. I still like a good hot sauce every once in a while. I like eating hot dogs with mustard and sriracha. That's one of my favorites. And Lisa says I take a magnesium and potassium supplement too every day. Yeah. Biscuit says electrolytes were part of the riddle I had to solve on my healing journey. We all need to address at some point. Our bodies are great at informing us of what we just need. Well, not just what to listen, but how to decode what it's saying. So we can listen, but if we don't understand what it's trying to tell us, then how do we know? So like headaches, brain fog, just overall lethargy or whatever you want to call it, like a lethargic nature. If you just don't feel like doing anything, you're probably not getting enough electrolytes. And then, but the downside is you get lazy and lethargic and you don't drink your electrolytes, then you don't get up and make your electrolytes. It just becomes, again, another self-fulfilling prophecy. Carrie's got some Munster cheese. It was expensive cheese, and the brand I was small brick. For the same price, I got the 2-pound brick and had the same ingredients. Yeah, I like Munster cheese. I used to get Munster cheese all the time. Then Walmart stopped carrying it, and so I didn't buy it anymore. And Risa says, I suffered with leg cramps for years and then found electrolytes and magnesium pills. No more cramps during the night. Yeah, it's crazy. It's so crazy. And Carl says, it's amazing how processed food has increased our sodium and glucose levels so much that our keto flu is extreme. Add water and salt when we go low carb and we avoid many withdrawal symptoms. Yeah, that was a thing that I didn't realize. I didn't really understand either. You know, when it came to starting out, we didn't really talk about as much full on electrolytes. And then, you know, I remember the first time I had the keto flu, I had a full sugar Rockstar energy drink in my drawer at work from leftover from before I went. I didn't realize it was there. And I remember opening the drawer and saw it. And I was having such a bad day. Like the keto flu was so bad. I was just like unbearable. I just didn't know what to do. So I drank that and I instantly felt better. I mean, obviously the sugar helped because of that withdrawal that I was having. But then that kind of helped me. But then I was like, okay, well, how can I avoid doing that ever again? And then kind of electrolytes. But then, you know, even at that point, there was not a lot of choices for electrolytes. I mean, Gatorade. And again, in the video, I talk about Gatorade. I break down the packets of Gatorade because, again, I saw on a Reddit post, somebody was talking about how they drank 6 packets of Gatorade a day. And I'm thinking that would be ridiculous. It'd be like over 6 to 7, these days, probably $10 or $12 of Gatorade if you drank the bottles versus, you know, 1 packet of salty being $1.50 or whatever, $1.10 or whatever, depending on if you get a discount. And you can save 10% if you go to my link at ketosimple.shop to buy salty and other Keto Chill items. Just in case you were wondering, that does help support the channel. Again, not necessary for a successful journey, but does help me pay some bills. But yeah, that's the thing. You know, just having electrolytes is huge. Karen Harrington is in the house. Good morning, Karen. So very glad to see you, my friend. Yeah, and when you're fast, you are not slow. That's right. That's right. And Biscuit says, it's quite a level of understanding, Dustin, worth considering. I'm done. Standard American diet broke so many of us. Eating with intention is crucial to healing. Yeah, 100%. Like, just understanding, like, typically I wouldn't stop eating until I was hurting. And even then I would be like, I've got more food left. I mean, that's a real thing that I went through. I did that for a long time. I would sit in my room. This is before and after I started dating Shannon, before we moved in together. But I would sit in my room and watch TV and eat bowls full of food until I could not put another bite in my body without feeling like I might literally explode. I don't know how many people out there have actually felt that before on a regular basis. I would literally eat myself until I thought I was going to realistically rupture something. It's like it's right out of the movie Seven, right? Talks about the gluttony. But I didn't have much control over it. I felt it was compelled to do it. It wasn't a, I want to. I mean, sure, it felt like I wanted to. It felt like I needed to. It felt like that's the only thing on the planet that I wanted to do. So often I would just say, I can't wait to go home and eat, because that was a safe space for me. That was a comfortable place for me. That's where I was. That's where I felt at home. That's where, the stress of the day melted away. And I'm very glad that I was able to get away from that. Carrie says, I still get looked at like I'm from Mars. Maybe you might be from Mars. I don't know. But they find out I eat carnivore. My church has gotten used to it. Yeah. Low Carb Spin is here. Hello, Karen. Howdy, Dustin. Been listening in because for some reason YouTube unsubscribed me to your channel. I had to edit I had to wait the 5 minutes. This has happened to me with other channels too. What's going on with that? I don't know why it unsubscribes people. I don't know what happens with YouTube. Typically, I understand that it happens like if you subscribe to a channel, like if you're in a chat like this and somebody puts a link in and you go and you subscribe, but then you never watch or interact with that channel, YouTube will sometimes unsubscribe you. But I'm not sure what happens on the back end, if there's like weird purges that happen. But I know you can go in, I know since you're a creator, you can go into your analytics and look at all of the channels or all the numbers that you've had people who have subscribed and unsubscribed to you. And you can look at, like, if you had all the subscribers that had ever subscribed to you, probably have, probably 50 to 60%, if not 100% more subscribers than you have now. It's pretty crazy to look at those numbers. It really, really is. But I'm not sure exactly why that happens, but I do set my channel to be subscriber only. You had to be a subscriber for 5 minutes before you can interact with the chat, hopefully to help keep down negative interactions so we can keep this a good, humble, wholesome place for everybody to share their experiences and get the community that they truly need and deserve. But welcome. Thank you for being here, Karen. Shelly is here. So glad to see you, Shelly. How are you, my friend? And Risa says that happens to quite a few of us. Unsubbed us from other channels. Check every time you go to watch a channel and resub immediately. Yeah. Just keep an eye on it. Just make it a habit, I guess. I mean, that's all I can think of, because I don't know why YouTube does that. Oh, Max was out. He was slipping and sliding on the ice. Poor Maxie. And Biscuit says, we remain vigilant and stand in solidarity, fam. Nothing but the rain. Jerry says, there was a time after Karen died where I never told anyone about it. My teeth earlier revealed that fact. My annual fasting does not even resemble the heartbreak of anorexia. Yeah, that's the crazy stuff, too, is seeing people in their anorexia, their bulimia, all of those things. Cindy says, I was very lucky, never did get keto flu. I had no issues going from standard American diet to strict 20 total carbs per day overnight. And did you add electrolytes into that, or was that something you added later? Biscuits says, I've eaten ad nauseum at times. It seems so foreign now, but it was a normal at one point. Yeah, just eating until I was literally just like ridiculously overdone, overfull. And I would just basically pass out. I would just fall asleep. Or what would happen is I would sit there for about a half an hour and then go, oh, I've got ice cream, and then go make a huge bowl of ice cream and eat that until it was gone. And then I would pass out I would pass out watching TV and then wake up, turn the TV off and go to sleep. Did that for so long. And it's embarrassing to think back about that. But I mean, realistically, you have to tell these stories because there's so many people out there who have been who've been there or are there now and need that, who need to understand that they are not alone, that other people have experienced that together. Because I didn't know that other people did that. I didn't know that. I didn't understand that people went through that. It's embarrassing. It's a secret. It's shameful. You know you shouldn't be eating like that every night, but you can't help it. It's so weird to have something feel so good and be so wrong all at the same time. I mean, it really is like drug use or alcohol use. And I know that there's contention when it comes to that kind of thing. People who are on drugs or alcohol don't necessarily seem to think the same. But if you've never been in a situation where you can't not eat yourself into oblivion every single night. And then you have the rude awakening that you have to continue to eat food to survive. Whereas with drugs and alcohol, yeah, with alcohol, you do need to kind of wean yourself off because there's some issues with the withdrawals of alcohol. But like, I guess some of the same things with some of the newer drugs out there may have some of the same similar issues. But yeah, I mean, you have to continue to eat to live. But figuring out that path and figuring out what you need to eat to where you don't slip back into those things again is difficult. It's a minefield that we have to navigate. And then we have people coming in who don't understand what's going on, who may not have ever seen a live before, and question all of that, and maybe not in the most eloquent ways. But that's what we're here for. We have to have understanding. I try not to get angry when people come in. I try to make sure that I'm, that we are talking about things and we are open and candid because truly matters. Because we don't know that person that was in here, what they're struggling with and what they're going through. And why are they in here asking those questions? Do they have genuinely good intentions for asking those questions? Or are those malicious? We don't know. So we just have to kind of play it by ear. And I'm glad that my moderators didn't just kick them out right away. We were able to touch on that, and we were able to come and would have a discussion. And yeah, and Evelyn is right. Dehydration can happen in winter too. Dehydration is more likely to happen in winter without you even realizing it. Because you don't feel thirsty or sweaty or hot, but you're dry. You're breathing in dry, cold air, and you're just all that stuff. Cindy says, no, I didn't. I rarely use electrolytes. Interesting. But again, so it just shows that everybody's journey is a little bit different. If I don't have electrolytes, I feel like garbage. And I salt my food. I salt my eggs. I salt my meat. John Together Strong is in the house. Good morning, John. Hello. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sherry doesn't use electrolytes in the winter. I do during the summer, but I'm also outside most of the day. Yeah, and you just do need to be a little careful in the wintertime because you can become dehydrated in the wintertime because of how dry things are. And you don't realize how much you are really kind of losing fluids. Yeah, food comas were real. And I mean, it happened. And that was one way that I started to realize that like things like the Quest cookies weren't so good for me because I'd eat a Quest cookie and fall asleep. I'm like, well, those are gotta go. They were good, but I'm like, can't eat those anymore. And Sean says, coming from a family of alcoholics, I'd say it's a good comparison between food addiction and alcohol addiction. And it's way hard to give up sugar. I'm not going to discount any addiction because giving up alcohol is going to be extremely difficult because you have to change everything about yourself, especially if you're a social person and you drink socially as an alcoholic. Then you're not really going to go to bars anymore, most likely. You're changing so much about yourself. The same kind of with us. Like, now I'm not going to fast food restaurants. I'm not going out to eat all the time. There's a lot of things that we don't do now. So there's a big shift in our lives. So, and Karen's saying, what strategies are you using to control cortisol? I'm just making sure that I'm trying to improve my sleep, get enough sleep, try not to let stress bother me, even though like current times right now, stress is extremely prevalent. And I'm trying to moderate that the best of my ability while still trying to stay informed. It's an uphill battle for sure. But yeah. And Evelyn says, at minimum, I have one electrolyte packet a day. If I'm very active, I'll have more. Yeah, some days I need way more. Some days I need way, way more. John says, I take electrolytes every day. I don't care. I think that's the reason why I've been bedridden for 2.5 years, magnesium deficiency. It very well could be. Steadfast says I use electrolytes every day plus additional magnesium and glycine, almost 2 years Carnivore plus. Now ferments, I also salt everything a bit. I get sluggish when I don't. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I am back caught up with the chat, if you can believe it. So let's go ahead here and we'll go ahead and start winding things down. So just want to go ahead and give some closing thoughts here. So I want to close this morning by reminding everyone of something really important. You do not fail this way of eating. You either learn or you adjust. That's it. The reason so many people struggle isn't because of keto or carnivore doesn't work. It's because they do it or they try to do it alone, silently and perfectly. We have to get that idea of perfection out of our heads, right? Community matters. Having people who understand what it feels like to eliminate sugar from their diet, to relearn hunger, to relearn those hunger signaling, understand. I never even knew those were a thing. I didn't know. To navigate social pressure, that's huge. We get so often people say, well, why don't you just have this? Just one. It's only just this. We have it. It's part of our everyday lives. To feel your body changing in unfamiliar ways. That matters more than macros. That matters more than fasting schedules, more than anything, right? And if you're new here, you're welcome. And if you've fallen off before, you're welcome. If you're struggling right now, you're welcome. Success doesn't come from white knuckling. It comes from consistency, understanding, and support. And I want to make sure that each and every one of you who come here and return are making sure that anybody who comes in, we're giving them grace. We're hearing them out. Today was a true test of that. We had somebody new, and they may not have been the most eloquent. They may have been kind of rude, but they did ask valid questions that deserved answers. I wish they would have had a little more decorum, but I don't understand. Maybe people don't always know how to do that. They just are blunt, and that's who they are. And we just take that for who they are. So thank you for spending part of your Sunday morning with me. Thank you for being part of this community. Keep showing up, keep asking questions, and keep choosing progress over perfection. Now, I still have some coffee left. Now refill your coffee, take a breath. Let's have a fantastic and productive week. Let's stay warm, stay bundled up. Do not try and do too much outside. If you're shoveling, if you're doing anything, make sure you're keeping warm. Shovel half the driveway, come in and warm up. Shovel a quarter of the driveway, come in and warm up. Don't overexert yourself. Again, even in the wintertime, we can become extremely dehydrated. So make sure we're hydrating. Make sure we're getting plenty of electrolytes, even when it's freezing, because you're more likely to become dehydrated without knowing it right now than during the summertime. Summertime brings the thirst. Wintertime, you're not as thirsty. So please keep that in mind. Thank you all so much for being here with me. You all have no idea what you mean to me, but it's very true. I love each and every one of you. Thank you for spending your day with me again. I will get some more videos out. Be on the lookout for those. Go watch the electrolyte video, the water drinking video that I put out. It's only got about 60 views. I need some more views on that. Watch that for me. I appreciate it. And with that, I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Here are the credits that I still haven't updated. I apologize for that. But anyway, I love you. Here we go. The credits. Have a great Sunday. Keep warm. Mwah.